My name is John, as you heard, and listen, for 25 years, I've had like incredible opportunity to be a pollster, which means I conduct surveys and focus groups, and now we can actually use some of our technology to continue these conversations every single day. And our job as pollsters, I think, is to listen, all of us, to listen better. So over the course of the next several minutes of this session, I want to first introduce two of our students. We'll listen to them, and then we'll expand the panel, and we'll be able to listen with my dear friends Kristen Soltis Anderson and Celinda Lake, talk about the lives of younger people and views of parents related to AI, and we'll listen to their perspective through the data. At the end of the day, I think that what I'd like to take away from this isn't necessarily a percentage, a piece of data, or a chart, but it's a greater understanding about the day-to-day lives of young people like Sophia and Yash. Okay? So thanks for joining us. How was the traffic this morning?
Terrible.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Well, we're here.
Yeah.
We're here. Just start for a second, if you could. Introduce yourself. Tell us like where you're from, what grade you are, and maybe something that like makes you happy or gives you energy these days.
Mm-hmm. Hi, everybody. My name is Sophia Zhang, and I'm currently a senior at Mountain View High School. Something that gives me energy during stressful academic season or college app season is hanging out with my friends, recharging my social battery.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Yash. I'm a junior at Mountain View, and one thing that gives me energy, similar to Sophia, is actually playing sports with my friends. We do weekend sport trips where we essentially try to de-stress, get away from all the academic pressure, and take an hour to ourselves.
Yeah. Are you able to do that on a regular basis, do you think? Or
Yes, typically it is a smaller group. Most of my friends have immense academic pressure like I do and are just in so many activities nowadays.
yeah. Could you share perhaps it's academic pressure, perhaps it's other kinds of pressure, but some of the things that are stressors for you, some of the things that you carry kind of on your shoulders or your back that might be weighing you down in some way?
Yeah, for me personally, I think a lot of it is grades. Typically in the school system with friends, family, and even peers that you don't know very well, the first thing that people ask about is your grades. In Mountain View, we are in a special location where tech is everywhere. People aren't as focused on your technological achievements. They're focused on what did you get in AP Physics? How many APs are you taking? Are you doing dual enrollment? It is a very stressful situation when you have to maintain all of that while being concerned about the future of AI.
Where's that coming from? From your peers, from parents, from where's it coming from?
I think everyone's experience is different. For me, a lot of it comes from my parents, where they worked very hard to move from India to here. They obviously did very well in school, and now they want me to do the same thing now. So, speaking frankly, a lot of it is from my parents.
Yes. Yeah. Do your friends feel the same way?
From what I can see, yes, most of them are very concerned about getting straight A's. This might be my friend group in particular, but everyone is doing an activity like robotics or science Olympiad, which take up dozens of hours a week. And then when you put 5 to 7 AP classes on top of that, it can get very stressful very quickly.
Thanks for sharing that. Sophia?
Yeah, I would say for me, especially as a senior in high school, it's what is my future going to look like? And that comes both in terms of where I'm going next year for college. And just last week, a lot of college decisions released. And for me, it seemed like all of my work during high school is culminating in the name of what college I am going to go to. And that to me is very stressful. But even further down the line, my parents have been talking to me about career and employment. And with AI, all the new technology and innovation, it's just a very confusing time. And honestly, something that makes me very nervous is that I feel powerless in my own future. I feel like the decisions of very few can drastically change what is the skills that I need to learn to be successful, get a job, and be able to raise a family in the future.
You mentioned success. So strip away what we think success is. Strip away parents, teachers, society. For you, like, what's your best life? How would you describe Sophia's best life a decade from now?
Wow. Well, I think my best life would be to travel the world and get in touch with different cultures. I'm somebody that really likes talking to a lot of different people. I like that human connection, that human conversation. And in fact, I actually gave myself a challenge when I first entered high school. It was called the 100 a Month Challenge, where I tried to talk to 100 new students, teachers, join a bunch of different clubs to get to know different people's perspectives. I love talking to the transfer students at my school, and so a decade from now, I would love to take that to a larger level and actually get in touch with the cultures of different countries around the world.
Love it, love it.
Yeah.
Yash?
For me, it is much less exciting or traveling the world. I am in love with tech, love with technology, and I want to be able to actually help develop this, whether it be repurpose it for good, making sure as a society we maintain on track to keeping AI a positive tool for change, as well as developing my own technology. How can I see what others have done? How can I build upon it? And how can I really help shape this field? That is what excites me and motivates me.
Okay. Beyond that, what are the other kind of elements of your life you you look to that could define success?
Yeah. For me, beyond what I do materialistically with a company, it would be the community that I built with my friends. I have noticed this as some of the best friends I've had have actually moved away, where building that community for me is super impactful, where I have friends that I can rely on, that I truly enjoy to hang out with, and that are available anytime I am in a very stressful position. Just having that network to me makes me think I have been successful. I have people that truly care about me and that I truly care about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually wanted to jump off of that. I think community really is the heart of what motivates me and my peers in a very high pressure academic Silicon Valley high school. A lot of the times we're chasing titles, for example, president of Chinese Culture Club, for instance. But I had the opportunity to actually run a survey with the parents community of the Chinese Culture Club at my school. And that to me was so much more impactful than any title or achievement that came with that. Because as I was walking down the street during like Hoko season, homecoming, and there was parents coming up to me and thanking me for their help with translating the survey from Chinese to English. And that to me, I felt like my work actually mattered. I was connected with my community. People saw the work that I did, and that is what success really is at the end of the day.
And is AI and technology making it more challenging, easier to connect with the community? Share some thoughts about that. Yash?
Yeah. So specifically for my friendship, the community, how I can actually help others, AI is making it much easier to reach out, to be more efficient, to actually aid others in their struggles, but at the same time, it's leading to a lot more struggles. I know I am worried about in the future, will I get a job? Are there going to be jobs for humans left? I know entry-level jobs are evaporating, and that brings a lot of stress, but at the same time, that is something that we can help with technology. So I think it just goes back to morals and ethics. What do we value as a society, and how can we ensure to hold that above everything else? How can we ensure to prioritize people over profits?
You mentioned, I just want to kind of circle back to something. You mentioned, will jobs be available for humans? You kind of mentioned that along with a bunch of other things. I mean, is that something that your peers actually think about, which is, I've worked my entire life to get to this point, to take, I don't know, how many did you say, a dozen AP classes at once? Like a lot of AP classes,
Yeah.
right? The president of clubs, all these other things to get to an elite university. And do you ever stress about what happens after that with technology and the ability to actually to live your best life? How present is that stress for you?
I would say that stress is honestly something I think about every single day. I look to my sister, who is now a sophomore at UCLA, and her dream her whole life was to become a game designer. But now, even at I would say top tier school, T20 school, UCLA, sophomore, she's unable to find any internships, having applied to 100+ different companies. And that really worries me. Her whole life, she has been working to get internships, to have all of these achievements, and it seems like now there's no opportunities available to measure up to what she has imagined for herself, and that worries me in my own future as well.
What are the other, maybe one or two of the big concerns or even just big questions that you're having conversations about, with your friends, with the folks that you care about, Yash?
Yeah, the biggest concern that I see with my friends is no one knows what the future holds, how powerful AI will become, and what concerns me the most is how okay everyone is with it. I have conversations with my friends where AI can do all the homework they're assigned, it can do all the learning that they are meant to do, and people seem okay with that, at least from my conversations. And I know that is being in a tech-first high school, that is being a junior, just looking at college, where AI can help me get into a better college because it can do more for me. But then past that, I don't think my friend group in particular is looking to how AI is really gonna negatively affect the structure of the world, in the sense that currently you go to college, you maybe enter an entry-level job, and then you work your way up. You build the skills as you go. Now, with AI, how strong it is today, I'm unsure about where that will lead into the future.
I have two questions out, and then I'm going to bring Kristen and Celinda to join us. One is, with all these questions that you have, are you finding any answers? Where are you going? Whether it's for information to take a little bit of that pressure off on the AI questions, or even some of the other stressors in your life. Like, who are you able to turn to, and what additional just resources would you benefit from, or would your peers benefit from?
Yeah, I honestly don't think I'm finding any answers to all of these questions. That comes from parents, from teachers, as well as from lawmakers. I have talked to a lot of different state senators, but the answer that I keep coming up with is they're unsure about the ceiling of AI. Where is this development going to lead us, and when is it going to end? I don't think anyone knows the answer to that yet, and that's what makes myself as well as my peers very nervous when companies are chasing the best model possible, which can lead to a lot of different positive benefits. But if you don't consider the impact it'll have on students like me, I'm not really sure what the future will hold.
Sophia, I hear you. We all hear you when you say every single day you're concerned about your future. How are you dealing with that? Are you dealing with that? Can we help you deal with that?
I mean, nobody knows the answer. You all don't know what the future is going to look like. I don't know what the future is going to look like. I think, even when I'm talking to my peers, I had interviews with my peers for my senior thesis, and one of my peers even said, is critical thinking even going to matter in the future? Because we can generate the outputs, so is that human process of independent problem solving, thinking for ourselves, is that even important if the output is exactly the same? I think these basic questions of what we value right now are going to be completely different even 5 years from now, and nobody knows the answer.
My final question for both of you is, if no one knows the answer, okay, what advice do you have for all of us and others in this room in terms of what should we be thinking about? What should the guardrails be? What should we begin to organize ourselves around these answers? What's important?
Yeah. So for what is actually important, what can you all do? I think the biggest thing is just have discussion and really think this through. AI is an immense efficiency tool. I personally use it to automate emails, automate a lot of the tasks I am actually doing. But where does that lead us? What should humans do in their free time that they'll have because of AI? As well as how can you ensure the safety of all of this? I personally believe that I love AI. I love to use it, the efficiency, but I just want to make sure that all of us as a society remain safe.
I think for me, it's to think about what is the problem that we are trying to solve. We have to keep what our end goal is in mind. Who is the target audience that we are trying to help? We can't be creating problems to solve. We need to understand what we are trying to solve. Innovation is good, but only if it is responsible and we understand what product we are trying to make.
Incredible. So I think everyone here can see why I have one of the best jobs in America, to continue to spend time with young people like Sophia and Yash. Thank you so much. Hang around for a couple of minutes. We're going to bring my good friends, Kristen Soltis Anderson and Celinda Lake, out to join us, but let's have a round of applause for you guys.
Hello, John.
I want to put them in charge, John.
Aren't they the best? You want to sit here? You want to? No, we're good.
I meant in charge of the
We're
country.
good. Oh, in charge of the country. Well, in charge of this too. So Kristen and Celinda have been like friends and colleagues and mentors of mine for many, many years. I'm so thankful for you joining. But you've also have conducted research with Common Sense Media for quite a while. Could you, Celinda, start with an overview of the current project and some of the big takeaways that you've learned? I want to talk about both big picture economic issues, but also we'll dig into AI as well, and we'll bring in Sophia and Yash.
And Celinda, before you answer, if we could get the slides pulled up, I'll go ahead and advance to the first one because I know that's going to be critical for your answer.
So first of all, we now have, this is the third survey, so we have a time series, and the urgency that you, Yash and Sophia, were feeling was reflected in the survey too. People thought things were getting worse. Actually, 79% of parents were thinking that economic opportunities for young people their kids are going to be reduced. And one of the biggest differences between parents and children were parents were very pessimistic about having the American dream, being able to raise your own kids, getting a house, paying for education. Young people were actually more optimistic than their parents about all three of those things. And you can see this here in the data. At the top is the parents, and at the bottom is the youth. The blue numbers are optimism, the orange numbers are pessimism. So you can see how the data diverge. So it's interesting because I think there's a certain resilience and a certain application. As concerned as both of you were, I was really struck by how you also were of the mood to take charge of what is happening. I think a lot of parents, particularly parents of older kids, just think it's happening and there's nothing we can do about it. So that's why I sincerely meant, I hope you're ready to take charge of the country. I'm ready to turn it over to you.
No pressure. Kristen, so much conversation about the over-reliance of AI.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about your perspective from the data about how parents and teenagers are thinking about that?
Yeah, so, much like the data here about the economic futures and parents having a lot of anxiety while kids are saying, oh, the story is not yet written. Let's see how this plays out. We find something similar with AI in that for many parents, they are looking at AI as something that's going to create a lot of potential threats to their children's safety, to their ability to think critically, to their ability to get a job, especially in our data for parents of kids who are currently over the age of 18. I mean, that anxiety that AI is going to make it harder for my child to get a job is pretty intense. But at the same time, for young people, they're kind of saying, this is just the world we're in now. This is just something we'll have to adapt to. There was a question we added to the survey that I thought was pretty fascinating about the way that people should use AI for things like schoolwork. So we forced this choice that said, using AI in school assignments is unethical and deserves consequences. That's the orange slice. Then we asked, or using AI in school assignments is innovative and should be encouraged. That's the blue slice. And then the purple slice is not sure. And you can see that for parents, a majority, 52%, say, no, you shouldn't be using AI in school assignments. This is unethical. This deserves consequences. And only a third of young people feel the same. I think that comment about, that you mentioned your peer giving to you about how, well, do we even really need critical thinking? There is a lot of data that we're seeing that shows some worries about potential over-reliance on AI, but there's also a gap right now between what young people are using AI for and what parents think they're using it for. Part of that comfort level with using AI tools for learning is that's how a lot of young people are already engaging with these tools. While parents think, oh, they're using it for things like companionship, that's not yet what the kids and teens, that's the blue bars there, are saying. They're saying I'm using this to find information and facts, to access information I might not have otherwise. And so that's where you find some of the difference there.
Quickly, students, are you having conversations with teachers or parents about how you're actually using it versus how people may think you're using it?
Yeah, I think personally, I have a lot of conversation, especially with the teachers who present themselves as more open. When I give feedback and talk to teachers, I say, this is an assignment that I could just use AI to do. I can use AI to do a lot of the research for me, compile the different perspectives on it. And I just want to make sure that we in school are ensuring that students do something that is useful for them in the future. And part of that is something that AI hopefully will not be able to do completely.
Yeah, and I had the opportunity to sit in on my school site leadership conversations surrounding AI. And there, the department leader's main concern with student usage was of course, cheating. But I feel like from my own day-to-day life, I'm not using AI per se to cheat on my assignments. For instance, any assignment you are given, there is the expectation that you can use Google. You can ask a parent for help. So what is the difference with searching on ChatGPT or Google Gemini, for instance? I don't think that this is considered unethical use, and I think that's where what the teachers think students are doing and what students think that they are using AI. I think that's where opinions diverge.
Great, thank you. And just in our closing minute, Celinda and Kristen, I asked Yash and Sophia this, but if there was one piece of advice for us and for policymakers about the future of AI, from all of your insights from this and other data, what would it be? Celinda and then Kristen.
Two things. One, I think we need to do more about safety. Both the parents and the young people were really concerned about safety, really concerned about personal information being used. And the second is, and Yash, I was so struck by both of your answers, finding a way to use AI to increase critical thinking rather than replace critical thinking.
Yeah, and I would just second that. I mean, in our data, we found that one area where there was a lot of agreement was that 71% of parents and 60% of teens are worried that by the time those teens are adults that they won't be able to function without AI. And so I think making sure that you have checked these critical boxes on safety, making sure that data is protected, making sure that children are not going to be vulnerable to the many threats that we know exist, but also making sure that we are preserving the ability for people to do things that give them meaning and to not just have the human side taken out of our lives.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
John, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.